Right. So I'm eating the last of my crackers. I now have 10 days before the first of the month in order to find food that isn't going to poison me and for which I can still sweat, so I know that it doesn't have antipsychotics in it. And but see, here's the thing. This is one of these false choices. My uncle, the philosopher, who he is among other things, at one point compared this to Absalom's ass, who is tied up between two bales of hay and he can't decide which one to choose from. And so he dies of starvation. So I'm Absalom's ass. That sucks. But I'm not going to pick this false choice of, whenever you're in a situation where someone is giving you a choice between two things for which clearly they're both against your human rights, and you're being lied to and fucked with, the option you always have and the choice you should make is, I'm not going to do either of them. I'm going to find out how it works and then I'm going to tell everybody. And then it doesn't happen anymore. I mean, it's either that or violence. You could do the wrong thing in two different directions. You could do the stupid thing in two different directions. The wrong thing, the right thing, run away. Make friends and see if you can hurt someone else in some complicated way. I mean, appeal to someone's self-righteousness. Okay. Not a whole lot of things you can do. So, to recap, if you find everything funny about how people are screwed too with jokes, then what'll happen is you'll get to laugh at everybody, and then someone who is French will screw with you to the comic book Incal, and then everybody, before you figure out that that's the comic book, will surround you with comic book t-shirts from other comic books, and then you find that one, and it's French. And usually you only find that one unless if you're a dweeb and like to read comic books, in which case you win because you're naive and innocent, or B, you fuck someone who's French, which would be the incredibly complicated way of going about it, because among other things, you'd have to learn and care about the French. I can never get over how they do the nose thing. I don't. I always wanted to visit, though. Anyway. So that, and then Astro Teller will sit in front of a podium and yell at you about how you should be the fool and that everything is okay, while you have all sorts of diseases and all of your friends have fucked you over, and you have to make friends with all the other idiots who've been fucked over. And meanwhile, nothing happens with all the people who fucked each other over. There's nothing like, oh, you were just fucked over by all these assholes. Let's immediately forgive them. This only started 5 years ago. Wars usually only last 5 years because that's how long it takes for the resources to go away. Not because people stop caring. I mean, how long can you have abandoned buildings everywhere? Or people killing each other? So that's, and usually, so that's the one wrong choice, right? That's the wrong choice that involves not eating, starving yourself, and looking pretty. I'm assuming that most of this shit is done to women, because a guy would just say, like, fuck this, and then, like, knock over a liquor store. Which is why there's so many abandoned buildings. And dead people. Or sit in an alley and do drugs. Shit's weird, I'm gonna sit in an alley and do drugs. That's a very masculine thing to do. I mean, female too, but I think guys would go to drugs first. I don't know. It's more macho, I suppose, than bitching. If you complain, you're not masculine enough. I mean, it's more productive, but whatever. So that's one version of stupid. The other version of stupid is I'm depressed, and because everybody keeps doing drugs around me, so my dopamine is fucked up. Rather than not eat at all because they keep screwing with me while I eat, every time I eat something that I do drugs around me, I'm going to eat myself to death. I'm just eat as much as possible. It's like, oh, that guy did drugs around me while I ate, I'm going to eat even more. Until you become incredibly big, which isn't necessarily your fault, although it's still terrible for you, as opposed to like starving yourself to death, which is also terrible for you. So you're going to become incredibly big, and then you're going to sit in front of this douchebag weenie who's made a computer program called Zig, which sounds like a shitty version of Rust, to be fair. I mean, I took a look. I didn't take a look at Astra's speech. I probably should. But I won't, because he can't be asked to give his starving nephew food. So he must have something important to say. Anyway, and that is the last of my crackers. Not Astro, he's not a cracker. I mean, maybe he is, I don't know. So, I'm not going to be this lighthearted and humorous if I make any more videos, because I'm just going to be screaming the entire time that I'm dying of starvation. So, you're gonna be fat, right? And you're gonna end up sitting in front of this guy who's gonna make fun of food and tasting shit while you go through a language that sounds like Rust, except its build system is more complicated, and for which, I don't know. I don't like the tooling mostly. It looks like it mostly works with C, and I don't like the tooling, and I'd rather have C++. I've never looked at NIM either. So, whatever. It's not like I'm going to build anything with my fucked up hands or my fucked up body or any of that shit anymore. So, but it's a choice between two douchebags. Oh, and when I come back and Astro Teller is my cousin, and this fucking douche magoo has that did this. I love that douche magoo. This fucking douche magoo that has the Zig operating system or Zig programming language uses stupid glasses like these. So they're like, what does this kid look like? Who has his cousin who's famous? So okay, let's put him in charge of making of doing a presentation on YouTube about a programming language, and then have that be the opposite of have that be the counter to Astra's thing. So you're like, that's a wild speculation. And as I go back to the shelter, some idiot's wearing a hat that has the Oakland Raiders, but the hat is black and the Oakland Raiders are black. So it's like two black, and black means like money and capitalism as opposed to white, which is socialism and death. Socialism and death, capitalism and life, because in Chinese, she means death. So, it's an idiotry. Like, explaining this idiotry to anyone not involved with it sounds like, oh, that's bullshit. And it's like, yeah, it is. And it's complete and total, it's bullshit. That's what they do rather than, like, put in businesses. They're gonna have a Jollibee, though. So it's just, I don't know. Like None of it makes any sense to me. Because any one of these idiots that got in charge, see, part of it is that you're going to put an idiot in charge of something important. And once you do that, then it'll collapse. So this guy who's doing the Zig programming Rust language thing is an idiot that I don't know, maybe he's a wonderful guy. He's going up there and I don't know, I'm critiquing the way he talks. No, I talk like a moron all the time. But were that he was drugged into his position, let's suppose that he was in fact drugged into his position so that he became more intelligent by just having a bunch of people gas him with drugs, as opposed to me, who was made less intelligent by having a bunch of people gas me with drugs. What he contributes to is to that group of people making that programming language is I'm popular enough to have gangsters gas me with drugs in order to make it so that I can contribute to this group. Which, how do you communicate that to an audience? Does that make the Zig programming language inherently better than Rust in some way that I don't know of? Does that make, in fact, Rust superior to another programming language if the same thing is happening with that group, of which I know nothing about? And of course, there's 4 guys that make a programming language that probably 10 million people use and is in production code. And I've just called one of them an asshole. For no reason. So even talking about how you can screw someone over using this sort of thing is it fucks over your, somebody just walked by and yelled fuck at me. I was like, okay. It fucks over your ability to establish a reputation for yourself because you're surrounded by idiots. And you have to speculate on how you're being drugged and how other people are being drugged.
Exactly.
That's the majority of what I have to say. And then you're spending all your time doing this, and I've done this shit for 3 years. And I've accomplished approximately nothing other than doing everything I can to make it so that San Francisco isn't a massive shithole. Despite everyone else's opinions to the contrary and desires to prevent me from doing so, or just hating me in particular. You would be surprised how ineffective the FBI office here is. You can bring them a vial of poison and ask them to test it if it's poisonous, and they will say that they don't do that here, sir. And I know this because I did that the first year I was here. The first 6 months, in fact. Anyway, I'm now tired of this, and I'm going to stop. And I'm just going to wander to the library, upload these videos, and then do nothing for the rest of the day. Because I'm back to, I have no food, I've eaten my 3 days worth of food, and then I'm going to be starving for 10 days. There's no fucking idea what to do when everyone in the entire city is insane.